In this video, let's explore a little more deeply this area in the parentheses called the parameter list. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's empty, as in the case of these other methods. So when do you need it, what's in there, etc. So I'm going to depart from this exercise for a minute and take us back to the exercise that we were doing in Chapter 3, which was the ChangeMaker program. So I'm going to bring that into view here. I have made a copy of my Chapter 3 ChangeMaker program and put it into my notes folder. So you may wish to pause this video and do the same. So I've parked it in my notes, and it's just I gave it a slightly different name for the file and changed the class name to match that. Okay, so taking a look at this program, there are a number of things that I'm doing that are almost the same. And actually, I also see that I have a total bug here where this should be Nichols, which I will now fix. Okay, so one of the big questions when you start encountering methods in Java is, when do I need a method, and why do I use them? What are they used for? And when our code is still so simple, it's a little difficult to answer that question, but the book makes a good stab at it, and I will start by saying, whenever you see something very repetitious, that should set off a little alarm in your head that maybe a method would be a good idea. So in this case, I'm taking a look at these lines, these system.out.printf lines. So these, I just used them for debugging when we were writing this in the Chapter 3 lab. But as I look through them, I see they're really printing out almost exactly the same thing each time. So whenever I see something like that happening in my code, then it makes me want to split them into a different method. So now what might I call this method? Maybe I will call it something like print debug or something, or maybe I'll define it somewhere up inside this class. So here I'm going to make myself a separate method, and it doesn't really matter if I put it above or below the main method. I'm kind of in the habit of putting things above the main method, but there's all kinds of ways that you'll see it done. Public static. Just do it for now. We'll talk about it later. For this week, void, because this method is just going to print stuff out to the console. It's not going to hand back a result like the result of a calculation or something. And you can name it anything you want, but by convention we like to keep it the same as variable naming conventions. So start with a lowercase letter. If you have multiple words in your method name, which I'm going to, then I'm going to use a camel case or intercaps. So print debug with a capital D in there. For now, I'm just going to put an empty parameter list, and then we'll think about what to put in here in a minute. And here's my method body surrounded by braces. Because the thing that I'm trying to avoid repeating is down here, I'm going to take one of them. These are almost the same. I mean, I have like one word difference every time this happens. So I'll just take this one for now and copy it and use it up here. And paste. And this won't quite work yet, but we'll get there. So the first step is I've split out code that I know is happening over and over, and I'm putting it in its own method. So now I'm going to build this, and we'll see some errors, and then that will help me determine what I need for parameters, and then I can talk about exactly why we need certain parameters and how you decide which parameters you do need. So check the next video where we'll build and add some parameters.